Hello there, Peppermint Pals! Welcome to day 2 of Huevember 2023. Taylor Swift outfits and different styles. Today we are doing her dress from the Love Story music video, and of course, we are doing it in Disney princess style, naturally. I have a special place in my heart for this dress. And this music video. I actually did a piece inspired by it before in high school. So the piece I made back in high school was a bit more angsty. It was during my senior year. I was doing a bunch of class pieces in my art class that were based around my own poetry. And in this one, I wrote just one of the lines of my poem. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but I wrote it over and over again in the background, and then I took a bunch of screenshots from the music video, and then whittled it down to like 2 or 3 that I thought I could use for poses in the picture, had my friend take photos of me posing. I actually was wearing kind of a big floofy dress. I had been a bridesmaid in my cousin's wedding, like a couple years earlier, and so I was wearing that to kind of get, the idea. The dress that I ended up painting in the actual piece was just a made-up dress, but it was based around that. Not really based around this dress, although her shoulders are exposed, so that's probably the reason why I went with, exposed shoulders. I then picked one. It was pose where she was kind of standing with her back to the balcony, so I did kind of the same thing. Didn't have a balcony, I just sort of used a table and rested my arms on it, and I sketched that onto a big canvas. Then I did like a wash over the words that I had painted so they could still kind of see through, and then the figures in the piece I painted with oil. All in all, I was not a big fan of that piece, but I think of it whenever I hear this song, whenever I hear Love Story, or certainly going back to the music video with this piece, with the dress, it kind of brought all that back, and it was kind of fun to relive in a sense, and it shows how long Taylor Swift has been influencing my art, because it was pretty new. Love Story was pretty new when I did that, because it was back when I was in high school, and so yeah, she had only released 2 albums at that point. I'm trying to think. Let me do a quick look up here. Okay, so yeah, she definitely had not released Speak Now yet. I knew she released that in 2010, which was the year I graduated, and I cannot remember if I did the piece I'm talking about now. I can't remember if I did that in 2009, at the beginning of the school year, or in the second half of the school year in 2010. But she didn't release it until October, and that's why I definitely associate that album, Speak Now, more with college, because it didn't get released until I was in college. But even if it hadn't, I do associate it with college. But yeah, Debut and Fearless, those were my high school years. Back to the piece that I'm currently showing you here. You may have noticed I cut out a lot of the sketches, and that was because this video was running long, and at the time I thought I was going to release, before this, some videos of me trying out Disney style, so I was like, okay, the sketches show me kind of trying to figure out how the individual style works, and I was like, okay, there are these other videos I'm going to release that'll do that, so I don't need as many sketches in this. I didn't end up releasing those videos, I just didn't find enough to talk about them, but you can see the images on my Instagram. I don't think you really need a lot of the sketches anyway. for this piece, because Disney style is actually, this Disney princess style is very similar to my own in a lot of ways. In fact, back in college, my style was directly influenced by Disney, and you can definitely still see that influence in the eye shape, the colored lines, which was something I started doing later, but, that's still similar to Disney. Even the shading is similar in some ways. Disney does a little bit more of a cel shading than I do, but there is some similarities, and I could definitely feel myself kind of feeling a bit familiar with this piece when I was doing the shades. I will say Disney does have more consistently thin lines, whereas I prefer more of a line variation, probably erring on the side of thick. Not like super thick, but probably thicker than what the Disney princess style has. Certainly these lines, a few of them need to be thinned up a bit. You can definitely see my preference for thicker lines coming through, but I tried to keep it as consistent with the style as possible and keep them thinner. These ruffles that I'm doing here, I'm actually gonna, come on. Well, I started doing them. There we go, those ruffles. I'm gonna actually redo them 2 more times. I'm gonna use an actual ruffle brush. And then I'm like, oh, but I used black lines instead of colored lines. I have to redo them again. Because it's one of those where it's filled in, the lines. It's filled in, it has the lines, but then it's not just the ruffles, it's also like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was already filled in, so I needed to basically do the color of the dress that I wanted, and then the color for the lines that I wanted instead of black, because I couldn't do like a clipping mask and color the lines like I normally do. And oh look, a canvas flip! I am so bad at remembering to do those. I have such a hard time remembering, and then when I do remember, I'll look at them and I'm like, okay, I can tell something is off, but I can't tell exactly what or how to fix it. And it's so frustrating. And like I said, I normally forget. So welcome to my very rare canvas flip, and I don't think I really fixed that much. I know there was probably more that could have been fixed, but overall I like the piece, so I'm not going to complain that much. So I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but this is actually the first piece for this year's Huevember that I did. The reason for that was because I was like, okay, I'm gonna start with, okay, let me explain. This is the first piece that I finished. It's not the first that I started. The first that I started was actually the last day. And the reason for that was, okay, I'm gonna start with the style I'm familiar with, which would be most familiar with would probably be my own style and kind of ease into the other styles. There, I forgot to record some. I think it was just me doing some of the patterns on the skirt there. But anyways, so originally day 30 was going to be the one that was in my style, and day 1 was in a different style. Here you see me redoing the ruffles for the first time. And so I started with day 30, and I just did not like how it was coming out. I was having the most horrible art funk, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this one aside. I'm gonna, as someone once told me, I'm gonna put it in timeout. But I still wanted to work on the project because I was really enthusiastic about it, and I wanted to get ahead before November, and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, well, I did Disney style recently, and it's kind of similar to my style, so let's do that. So yes, I did this one, and this was the first one I finished. And then eventually I moved around the styles, added and subtracted some styles, and ended up doing day 1 in my style, because I figured when I do my style, it should either be in, you know, it should either be the first day or it should be the last day. But putting it in the middle is, I don't know, it just felt kind of weird. So that's what I ended up doing. I did it on day 1, but I almost did it on day 30. Here's me doing the ruffles again for the third and final time. So for the coloring, well, the shading, I mean, I actually still used the yellow color, just, again, within the shades and tones, and then I changed the layer style. They weren't all multiply, in fact, very few were. I find myself not actually liking multiply very much. But I changed the layer style to look what I thought was the best, but for that area. But I still used the yellow from the palette, the yellow of the day, and somewhere in that palette. I don't know if it really made that much of a difference, because changing the layer style changed the color. But I was trying to keep consistent as I could. I surprisingly did not do that for future days. I kind of forgot. Again, without giving spoilers, I haven't done every day, but there's day 4 is a similar style to this, and I didn't actually end up using the color in the shades. But there just was not as much shading anyway. So, but yeah, I did that to try and keep it consistent. So we're getting near the end of the piece today. I know I haven't been as chatty on this one as the previous one, but I mean, I really haven't had as much to say. I'm not introducing a project or anything. Plus, I think the piece is fairly simple and straightforward. I think it speaks for itself. It wasn't super complicated, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And we've got a lot of cool, fun things coming up this month in this project, and I'm very excited to share them with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later. Bye!